Tonight, a big solar spin. Does the budget spell out good news for Port Augusta? But is it enough for the state? Whyalla misses out on much-needed Commonwealth support.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening. The federal government has committed $110 million in an equity commitment to build a solar thermal power station in Port Augusta as part of last night's budget. Those supporting solar thermal power in the region say it's another sign of commitment, but the state government still needs to give the green light.
A year after the Alinta power station closed its doors, the federal budget revealed $110 million for an equity investment into a solar thermal project in Port Augusta.
So it's pleasing they've listened and reacted and now more or less actually committed in the budget itself. So hoping this goes through Parliament without any pushback in the lower or the upper house. We've got that first major hurdle out of the way to making this a reality.
After a deal was made between the Xenophon team and the federal government last month to put aside the $110 million in a concessional loan to secure the project, Mayor Johnson says the budget mention makes it official.
Seeing the federal government said, you know what, we are going to commit, we're going to commit to what the private proponents have asked for, we're going to put it in the budget so someone can wave it around in our face, in writing, signed by us, signed by the Treasurer, and now all eyes have gone from the federal government back to the state government.
While funding for solar thermal power has been confirmed in the federal budget, there's been no mention of the outlying issue of the Joy-Baluke Bridge, a major piece of national infrastructure. But state Liberals say it's now up to the state government to make a move.
So it would be inexcusable, in my opinion, if the state government did not commit to buy this electricity from one or more of the proponents who want to build a solar thermal power plant in Port Augusta.
The reason why the South Australian government should do this is because it makes sense on a commercial basis, on a technical basis and on a power system engineering basis.
An outcome is expected on solar thermal by the state budget on June the 22nd. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
And while Port Augusta is celebrating, federal and state Labor are angry that no money was set aside for the Whyalla Steelworks. They've questioned how $1 billion was found for a coal mine in Queensland, yet there's no money to secure the future of the nation's steel industry.
Before Scott Morrison presented the budget, Jay Weatherill already had a wish list for South Australia. Top of the list was a commitment of funding to help modernise the ageing Whyalla Steelworks. It didn't come, leaving federal and state Labor unhappy, considering Adani has access to $1 billion for a Queensland coal mine.
We want to see the same sort of commitment that has been made to northern Queensland made to Whyalla and the Upper Spencer Gulf.
It does nothing for workers in places like Whyalla and the Iron Triangle.
Whyalla's mayor was also left searching for answers.
We need all the support we can get from the federal government, and I'm hoping it'll still come through, but I can't see it in the budget.
But Rowan Ramsey has dismissed Labor's concerns as hypocritical, saying they've yet to spend anything on the Whyalla Steelworks.
They put $50 million on the table, and up to now they haven't spent 5 cents of it. It just sits there doing nothing, whereas what the federal government has put over $120 million in.
Mr Ramsey says they want to see the new owner's plans for the steelworks before committing any money.
Too soon to do anything. I mean, we need to know exactly what the business plan from the two buyers is for Whyalla.
But influential Senator Nick Xenophon isn't buying the government spin.
There is absolutely no excuse for the federal government not to insist on Aussie steel made in Whyalla for any rail projects.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Meanwhile, Rowan Ramsey is selling the budget as fair for the region, but the opposition is already crying out. For the most part, the regions and much of the state missed out on major infrastructure upgrades, and there wasn't much in way of support for our energy woes either.
As Treasurer Scott Morrison stood up in Parliament last night, the region sat still, hoping for some relief. Rowan Ramsey content with what the region received. Much of it was continuing funding programs.
Well, some of the projects are ongoing programs, pre-announced and whatever, and the Roads to Recovery money, for instance, has been known that it is coming.
Regional SA missed out on a slice of the $70 billion infrastructure spending. The Augusta Highway is in desperate need of a major upgrade, and the opposition has been quick to hit out at the lack of spending in SA.
So you've got to separate cars and trucks. You've got to have a metre and a bit separation. So, to not even have a plan for a wider buffer in the centre of the road is appalling, and to not forward plan to, have 2 lanes each way is, unfortunately South Australia's been left behind here.
Mr Ramsey acknowledged energy as our main focus.
The biggest thing we need in South Australia at the moment, the biggest thing in energy, is investment in storage of electricity, in storage of energy.
But an energy plan was nowhere to be seen in the budget.
We've lost our focus on regional Australia since the Libs have been back in, and people like Rowan need to shout louder and work harder.
Mr Ramsey was happy to announce the Medicare freeze was lifted, much to the delight of regional doctors, but he did stand by the government's choice to hold the freeze in the first place.
The Medicare freeze is being lifted. It's in 2 stages, but I think they'll be pretty pleased with that outcome. So, so that effective saving that's been made over those few years is actually sort of cemented in now, and that's an efficiency.
Keziah Sullivan, Southern Cross News.
2 local finances now, and Port Lincoln residents will be hit with a 4% rate rise in the council's 2018 annual business plan. The local budget will cover major infrastructure developments, including the London Street Bridge and road renewal projects, but rises in electricity and waste removal means that homeowners will have to fork out more.
It's news that most homeowners dread to hear, but the Mayor says new price hikes to council rates are vital to keep Port Lincoln moving forward.
We'd like to say that there's no increase, but with those extra costs that are really lumped on us, we either say to the community, well, what are we going to do less? Or we're going to have to pay this bit more to sort of stay where we are.
Homeowners asked to fork out 1% shy of the overall increase.
The average impact on households will be about 3.2%, or about $40 or $50 per annum.
The rise in rates largely due to high electricity costs and waste removal procedures forced by the state government.
Electricity has gone up $150,000, up $150,000 for next year.
The Mayor adamant prices are reaching a critical level.
It's getting tough, and it's getting to the stage now where South Australia is uncompetitive with the other states.
The business plan will also develop infrastructure such as the London Street Bridge expansion, road reseal projects and the final stages of the leisure centre. The council is urging residents to visit their website to view the draft business plan and take part in a questionnaire. The public will then get their chance to have a say during an open council meeting next month.
We'll consider all those that input and tweak or alter or reprioritise some of the things in the budget, and then come down with a budget that we think is acceptable to the community.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news. Students sitting NAPLAN tests again. How will local schools fare this year after good results last year? Welcome back. The Menindee man charged with grooming a teenager has had his case adjourned until July. The 25-year-old appeared in Broken Hill Court yesterday after he was arrested last month for allegedly engaging in numerous sexually explicit conversations with police posing as a 13-year-old boy. The man's name has been suppressed and he'll reappear in court on July the 11th. 3 weeks after introducing cheaper community fares for the Broken Hill-Sydney air route, Regional Express says the response from locals has been great. Over 2,000 fares have been purchased since the scheme was brought in.
It's been only 3 weeks since the $200 community fares were introduced, and Rex is happy with the uptake.
We've sold close to 250 of the community fares in the last 3 weeks, and that has been so far without a whole lot of promotion.
The community fares are applicable to only the Broken Hill-Sydney air route. The fares are available for any unsold tickets within 24 hours of the plane's departure, or if you book 30 days in advance.
The vast majority are taking advantage of the last-minute sales, and we are now starting to get people taking advantage of the 30-day advance purchase.
It's great news following Rex's announcement last year that it would be increasing the price of fares to cover extensive losses. Rex then met with the Broken Hill City Council General Manager to solve the problem, but still have the community benefit.
Together with Council, we came up with this initiative, which is based on some things that we've done elsewhere
Rex will be working with Council to develop a promotion to further spread the word of the cheap flights.
The aim of this initiative is to get new passengers travelling and have more people travelling on the Broken Hill to Sydney route.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
As NAPLAN tests are conducted across the country this week, Port Augusta's Caritas College gained special mention for its results last year. Years 7 to 9 at the school in Port Augusta West received numeracy results well above the national average, and are hoping this year will be the same.
NAPLAN testing is in full swing for 2017, and last year, Year 7 and 9 students from Port Augusta's Caritas College came back with outstanding results in numeracy.
A surprise to receive the letter, but we were aware of what the data said. So in NAPLAN testing, that commendation from ACARA was for the amount of growth.
The Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority recognises schools throughout Australia for their academic achievements, and Principal Martin says she credits the results to the team of teachers, some who have been recognised around Australia.
So we've got some very strong leadership around it, some excellent staff, and in fact staff who've have since been asked by ACARA and seconded to ACARA to do some work for them, informing developments around NAPLAN and numeracy teaching across Australia.
She says the NAPLAN test isn't as big as it's made out to be, rather a way to confirm how students are learning.
We really like analysing the data, and for a number of years we have worked very hard to use that data. There's always ways we can improve our teaching and learning programs.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Well, stay with us. When we return after the break, the showcase of Whyalla's shipbuilding history opens up for a special occasion. The details ahead. Welcome back. The Port Lincoln Hotel and St Vincent de Paul Society have joined together to promote the upcoming community sleep out later this year. The money raised from the event will go towards the local Fred's van, providing weekly meals to those doing it tough on the streets.
It's a slumber party of a different kind. St Vinny's and staff from the Port Lincoln Hotel slipping into their best PJs to promote the upcoming community sleep out.
It's based on the CEO's sleep out they have in all the capital cities around Australia.
The sleep out happens every 2 years and funds Fred's van, keeping it on the road.
It's extremely important because if we don't raise the money, we haven't got the money to provide a meal for the people that we serve every Sunday night.
Along with a free hot meal, the volunteers provide assistance to those who desperately need it.
They like to come along, have a good meal and have a chat. Some of them just want to talk.
The Port Lincoln Hotel happy to rug up for the occasion.
A lot of people don't realise how many people don't have a bed to go to. We'll think that we may have perfect lives and other people may appear to have the perfect life, but behind the closed doors, unfortunately some doors they can't close.
Staff going through a dress rehearsal before the sleep out on July 11.
It's really important we perceive other people's lives very differently, and to step into someone else's shoes, it's very eye-opening. If I do it, my team jumps on board as well.
As the cold months approach, St Vinny's will provide clothing and shelter and offer assistance for people doing it tough. Many thankful there's someone reaching out.
People come along and say thank you, and you can tell the way they say it, they really mean it. And all we've done is spend a couple of hours preparing a meal and serving it up.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Well, Saturday marks 76 years since the HMS Whyalla was launched, and the council is marking the occasion with an open day this Saturday with locals encouraged to visit a piece of Australian history.
HMS Whyalla was launched from Whyalla Shipyard this week in 1941, going on to perform surveying, escorting and minesweeping duties in the Pacific. It's now in dry dock at the Whyalla Maritime Museum, having been saved from scrap back in 1988. Mayor Lynn Brewer says dedicated locals have ensured the ship remains a local icon.
It's great that the community has got behind it and have looked after it over these years. We were able to bring it back to Whyalla. It's a real asset for our community.
As part of the state's History Festival, Council is celebrating the occasion with an open day at the Maritime Museum on Saturday. Tours of the vessel will set sail between 10:30 and 1:30, with visitors able to go inside a small part of our naval history.
It's a real icon for Whyalla, and it's a piece of Australia's history. It's Whyalla's history, but it's Australia's history. So it's something to treasure. It's something to really look at.
The Corvette kicked off a 40-year shipbuilding industry in the city. Mayor Brewer says the day will also be a celebration of our city's contribution to the nation's shipping.
It was the first built here in Whyalla, part of a series of Corvettes, and it is a unique thing for us to have.
The open day runs from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. for a gold coin donation. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Well, if you've seen a lot of bright colour in the office, it's Wear Orange to Work Day to celebrate hard-working volunteers from the State Emergency Service. And SES volunteers in Port Augusta want to assure residents there's been no emergency in the main street. The local branch tied their tape all over Commercial Road last night to bring awareness to WOW Day and their services. There are over 1,600 SES volunteers across 67 units in South Australia, and the Port Augusta SES says they always are in need of more recruits, especially going into the winter months. And I swear I thought I had an orange tie, but for the life of me I couldn't find it this morning, so my bad. Well, there has been hardly any movement in the region's petrol prices this week. Things are staying relatively cheap when we head to the Bowser. Here's Patrick with this week's Fuel Watch.
There are only a few regional centres who have seen a change this week. The rest are sitting steady. Let's take a look at unleaded. Port Pirie enjoys a week of holding even. The price remains at $1.26. In Port Augusta and Whyalla, it's another week of no movement. I'm starting to think the prices are going to stay that way until the end of time. In Port Lincoln, things are green. A small drop has seen the price drop to $1.28. It's also $1.28 when we look at Broken Hill. And in Adelaide, a 13-cent fall puts their price down to $1.23. Taking a look at diesel now, and Port Pirie is the only one seeing red, although it's only a minor rise. Port Augusta is breaking even once again, and Whyalla has ticked down to $1.27. Both Port Lincoln and Broken Hill have stayed put, and rounding out the figures, Adelaide has seen a slight decrease, the price now down to $1.23. Now be sure to remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you are driving around and happen to find a spot that does sell it for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page. Tim.
Well, stay with us after the break. A look at how the local weather is shaping for the rest of the week. Well, more of this sunshine, it's continuing right across for the next couple of days. Today it got to 21 degrees in Port Augusta and Port Pirie, with 20 in Whyalla, Port Lincoln 22 and a sunny 20 in Broken Hill. On the national satellite image, a bit of scattered cloud is passing over. Only southern parts of the region, though, are likely to see any showers. On the waters, the winds to 15 knots and easterly tomorrow. The seas below metre and southerly, sunrise right on 7 o'clock. So looking at how tomorrow is shaping up, 22 the top for Port Augusta and 20 in Whyalla, much the same really. Port Lincoln, though, could see light showers past 21 there. 21 also for Port Pirie and Broken Hill, but looking fine. Then into Friday, we've got 21 again in Port Lincoln, though it should have fined up. The same for Cleve, Woodner on 23. Whyalla looking fine and sunny, 21 degrees also to wrap up the week and into Saturday. Port Augusta fine on 23, Kadina also with 21. The sun's also shining around the mid-north on Friday, 22 on the way for Port Pirie with 19 on the way in Clare, and to Broken Hill also on 21 degrees to see off the week. And that is the local news for this Wednesday evening. Don't forget you can stay up to date with us on Facebook and on Twitter. You can also catch past bulletins on our YouTube channel and get in touch via email as well. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield from the Southern Cross News team. Enjoy your evening. Good night.